Imagine surviving the horrors of war, months of fear, sleepless nights, and the constant sound of gunfire. Imagine holding on to just one thought to keep you alive, the hope of returning home to the woman you love. But what if, after all that sacrifice, you came home only to find the person you trusted most, your own brother, standing in the place that should have been yours? This is the heartbreaking story of Daniel Cooper, a soldier who returned from war only to face the most personal kind of betrayal. Daniel Cooper wasn't just a soldier, he was a husband, a son, and a brother. Before the war, he had built a simple but happy life in Oakdale, a quiet American town. He worked as a mechanic, fixing cars during the day, while his evenings were reserved for the woman he loved, Sarah. Sarah was more than just his wife. She was his high school sweetheart, the girl he'd walked to prom, the one he'd promised a forever with. Their love story was the kind people admired. They married young, just before Daniel enlisted in the military. He didn't want to leave her, but service called. "I'll be back before you know it," he promised, holding her hands tightly on the day of his departure. What gave him strength on the battlefield wasn't courage alone. It was Sarah's letters, carefully written, filled with love, scented faintly of lavender. Every night, under the dim light of a barracks lamp, he read her words and reminded himself of what waited back home. Daniel's unit was deployed overseas for 18 grueling months. He endured sleepless nights, enemy fire, and the unshakable fear of never returning home. Friends fell beside him, and everyday survival felt like luck rather than certainty. But through it all, he clung to one thing: Sarah. In letters, she told him she missed him. She said she prayed for him every night, and that she couldn't wait for the day he'd walk through the front door again. Those words kept him alive. And then finally, after countless battles and near-death escapes, Daniel's deployment ended. He was coming home. The morning he arrived back in Oakdale was filled with sunshine. He pictured it 100 times. Sarah running toward him, tears in her eyes, the embrace they had both dreamed of. As the taxi pulled up to his modest home, Daniel's heart pounded. He clutched his duffel bag, his uniform still dusty from travel. But as he stepped onto the porch, something felt wrong. The garden was unkempt, mail piled up by the door, and the sound he expected, Sarah's footsteps rushing to greet him, never came. Instead, the door creaked open, and standing there was his younger brother, Michael. At first, Daniel smiled. They had been close once, though very different. Michael was carefree, always chasing adventure, while Daniel carried responsibility. But then Daniel noticed the unease in Michael's eyes, the hesitation. And when Sarah appeared behind him, wearing Michael's shirt, Daniel's world collapsed. For a moment, silence. Daniel's duffel bag slipped from his shoulder and hit the ground with a dull thud. He looked at Sarah, then at Michael, struggling to understand what he was seeing. "Sarah, what's going on?" His voice cracked. Sarah's face flushed and tears welled in her eyes. Michael stepped forward as if to explain, but Daniel raised a hand to stop him. The truth hit harder than any bullet ever could. While he had been risking his life overseas, the woman he loved and the brother he trusted had betrayed him. "Daniel, please," Sarah whispered. "It just happened. We didn't plan it. Didn't plan it." The words echoed in his mind like gunfire. Daniel staggered back from the doorway, his chest tightening. Neighbors peeked from their windows, sensing the storm. But Daniel didn't yell. He didn't throw punches. He simply turned and walked away. For days, he stayed with an old army friend, drowning in silence. He replayed every letter, every word Sarah had written while he was away. Were they lies? Had she already been with Michael when she wrote, "I can't wait for you to come home"? The betrayal gnawed at him more deeply than the horrors of war. He had survived enemy fire, but this wound came from his own blood. When Daniel finally returned to the house, he demanded answers. Michael admitted it began as comfort. He had been helping Sarah while Daniel was away, mowing the lawn, fixing things around the house, checking in on her. Loneliness turned into late-night conversations, and eventually something more. "I never wanted to hurt you," Michael said, guilt dripping from his voice. Sarah cried, apologizing over and over, insisting she still loved Daniel. But love wasn't enough. Trust had been shattered. Daniel faced an impossible choice. Should he fight for Sarah, the woman he had built his life around, even after her betrayal? Or should he walk away, leaving behind the dream that had once fueled his survival? The community buzzed with whispers. Some blamed Sarah, others Michael. Many pitied Daniel. In the end, Daniel chose himself. He filed for divorce quietly, refusing to let anger dictate his future. He cut ties with Michael, the brother he once trusted, vowing never to look back. Healing didn't come quickly. Daniel carried invisible scars, not just from the battlefield, but from home. He poured himself into work, fixing cars again, finding purpose in simple things. Slowly, he began to rebuild. And though the betrayal haunted him, Daniel refused to let it define him. One day, he told a fellow veteran, "The war took my peace, and home took my trust. But I'm still here. That means I still have a chance to start again." Daniel Cooper's story is one of love, sacrifice, and betrayal. He returned from war expecting home to be a safe place, only to discover the deepest wound came from those closest to him. But in the end, he proved something powerful. Even after heartbreak, life goes on. And sometimes survival isn't just about living through war. It's about finding the strength to rebuild after the people you trusted most break your heart.